Good morning. Welcome, James Smurthwaite from Warnerford Consulting, and I finally get to wear the shoe on the other foot this time and interview Tim Warnerford, new for 2026. All about GEMZ. People would have seen the hats flying around, which we've got on right now, and a neon, incredibly bright sign if you've been lucky enough to speak to Tim on Teams at some point over the last 12 months. So, Tim, welcome.
Good morning, James.
Yeah, morning to you too. Firstly then, really, what is GEMZ? What does it actually do?
Yeah, so GEMZ has been, it's been in development and design for about the last 2 years. I always noted that there was a kind of a lack of decent condition survey data that could be used by clients, especially if you had a large estate and you were trying to collect and collate data from various sources in different formats. So GEMZ effectively is an estate management tool that provides clients with a bird's eye view of their estate. It's based on, as I say, on condition compliance, sufficiency and energy data. And the idea is that we would bring that data through a journey to be able to create clusters and scenarios that we, in working in collaboration with the client, we will be able to get them their optimum return on their investment, because there's obviously constantly competing priorities. Most of our clients, have a budget of £1 million and £5 million worth of liabilities. Yep. How do we get them the best deal? That is our challenge. And how do we do that in a way that has a clear methodology and is auditable and is answerable to all stakeholders?
So you mentioned about that methodology. What is that? How does that actually work?
So the methodology, effectively, we would request quite a comprehensive list of data from our client. That would be condition compliance, as I say, sufficiency, energy, all sorts of data that was probably sitting in different drawers on different hard drives in different formats all across a trust estate. We bring it into one place, okay? We collect, collate, and then we analyse that data and we present it back as a baseline so that schools can understand this is what we know at the moment. And then it's about a filtering process, a refinement process around how we test that data, especially around costs, because as we know, a condition survey where it does include costs are just schedule of rates.
Yep.
They do not include prelims, they do not include annual inflation, they do not include builders' works. We calculate circa 30 to 40% of a cost that's included within a schedule of rates of a condition survey is not what you're going to get back when you go to market. So we want to take the client on the entire journey. We want to triage and prioritise those competing challenges, those competing projects, and we, as I say, we need to do that in a way that is entirely transparent, that we can play around with effectively. And we want to look at not just the capex, but also the potential savings. They could be cost savings from energy, they could be cost savings from maintenance. All of those sorts of things we feel are part of the wider calculation that we can afford schools when they are, having to make some pretty tough decisions.
So why GEMZ, and why did you feel there was a need for it? Obviously, there's ways that people could have done that previously. You mentioned about having lots of paper and reports in drawers, but someone could manually take that and produce something for a client. So why do you feel GEMZ is the right thing to do?
Well, the other thing that we feel with GEMZ, and so let's just say GEMZ, okay, why have good estate management when you can have great estate management, zero? So for us, we have looked at not just the condition of buildings, but the energy performance of buildings. So we are very clear on the inextricable link between a building condition and a building performance, which is, again, why we are such advocates of adapting a fabric-first approach, because of all of the dividends that come from doing so. The reason that we feel that there was a need was because hitherto those other offers on the market would effectively collect data, but they wouldn't necessarily analyse it, and they wouldn't necessarily analyse it in a way that we're proposing, which is effectively in collaboration with our clients, so that we can come up with a partnership, and we can basically, as I say, give them a wider range of options based on our experience. And obviously they need to be a part of that story as well, because we all know that some trusts, there will be schools that have joined that trust with surplus, and if that school's governance structure is premised on basically following need, it might be that that school that's brought in the surplus is basically subsidising those schools that perhaps joined in deficit. So we have to agree a fair methodology. We can do our external analysis in terms of performance and condition, but obviously we need to make sure that there's flexibility within that for when schools trusts bring in the fact that they need to basically provide something for a school that perhaps came in, as I say, with surplus. So ours is it's a clear methodology, it's transparent, but it's flexible enough to allow schools to basically bring into play the real politics on the ground. And from the DFE's perspective, from the last 3 rounds of nationwide school data collection for condition, there's just no analysis. It's too high level. It's of no real practical use to a school. And as I say, condition surveys again only tell you half the story. So for us, it's all about making the right decision based on the right data.
Yep. So you mentioned quite a few benefits there, to be fair. Are there any other benefits that clients would gain from using GEMZ?
So we also link as part of the journey. So we've collected the data, we've analysed the data, we've worked through the priorities with the schools, we've had some scenario planning, we've looked at what funding options there might be to offset that capex, whether that is through public sector government grants and funding, or whether we go out to market, because obviously the Academy's handbook now reflects the fact that the private sector is able to come and assist with various compliant leases. So we would undoubtedly be exploring that. But the other thing that we do is, once we've agreed this short list of capital projects programs, we then would undertake the tender and the procurement process via the Delta E sourcing platform, which again gives clients complete transparency in terms of how they've gone about procuring. We would upload the details, the contractors would bid accordingly, and then the trust would mark them, and then we would go into the delivery of that. So it's a complete from the initial data right through to the completion of any projects which form part of that capital projects program. We provide that full service.
Brilliant. And so where, if we've got clients listening to this that are really interested and want to know a little bit more about GEMZ, where do they need to go to get that information?
So as I said, GEMZ is still, it will be coming to market hopefully at Easter. We've got some great critical friends that are helping us now in terms of testing our assumptions. We will be looking to do demos with obviously our existing clients, where we provide estate management services specifically around those larger trusts that are in receipt of school condition allocation. But for new clients, we're going to be offering demos approximately from Easter onwards. So please just contact me directly at Warnerford Consulting.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Cheers, Tim.
Thanks, James.